Rousing celebrations continue for our medal-winning Olympians. They are meeting President Kovind on August 14th and Prime Minister Modi on Independence Day. Even after that, it will be a while before it's business as usual for these champions. As a nation, we'll continue to bask in their reflected glory. After all, nothing symbolizes our collective achievement or burnishes our reputation as much as sporting success does. The Tokyo Olympics, with 7 medals, including Neeraj Chopra's historic gold, saw India's best performance ever. Overall, we ranked 33rd by total number of medals and 48th by the number of gold medals. Many are calling this moment an inflection point. Some say it's because the government, sports federations and corporate entities are finally working in sync. Whatever it is, we need more and we need it fast. To find out how to do better in Paris 3 years from now and to relive some of the extraordinary heights of human endeavor that we saw on display, I'm talking today to Sharda Ugra, arguably one of our best and most respected sports journalists, Joy Bhattacharya, who was former team director of KKR, also a man whose work and insights at the intersection of sports and media has many fans, and Jayan Mehta, marketing head at GCMMF that makes Amul, which is a sponsor of the Indian Olympic Association. It's lovely to have you all join us. Thank you very much. I'm going to start by asking each one of you to identify one iconic moment in these Tokyo 2020 Olympics, because after all, this is where human emotions are at their iconic best, isn't it? What stood out for you? What will you remember Tokyo 2020 for?
To be honest, it's a moment which was not even a medal. It's basically the moment in which the Indian women's hockey team beat Australia. I could not believe it. That moment when they sat down in disbelief after holding on to that 1-0 lead is something that I will treasure for the rest of my life. It was a meaning. It changed their fate. I mean, 40 years they've been trying to do something. We've got nowhere in this sport in women's hockey, and how we did it and the way we did it, and with everyone from the coach to the assistant coach to everyone contributing, it was just such a special, goosebump moment. I mean, that's the moment of the games for me. I know Neeraj Chopra comes close, but that was the moment of the games for me.
Jayan, what about you?
The goosebump moment, of course, is the Rashtrageet and the Indian flag rising when Neeraj got the gold medal. So I think that's been the best ever memory for all of us as viewers in the country and around the country.
Right. Sharda, you want to pick a moment as well. I'm sorry, it feels like this is all gone, but I think those are those iconic moments, and those visual, what it leaves in your mind is what sort of we build on as people and as a nation, isn't it?
Yeah, my favorite team from these games, of course, was the one that Joy is talking about, the women's hockey team. But I'll just give you very quickly two moments. One was the turnaround by Ravi Dahiya in his semi-final to be able to just turn it and pin his opponent and get into the final. I thought that was spectacular. Of course, Neeraj, like I said. But the other one was the high jump final where
the shared gold medal.
The shared gold medal. That was Can we have 2 goals? It is possible. It was fantastic. I just loved it. Yeah.
Right. Sharda, we did a show before the Olympics, and I think you stuck your neck out and you said double digits. I think you said 10, 12, and you were also just throwing the medals around at that point, right?
Yes.
So you want to tell us how you review where we've landed at 7, and it's supposed to be the best ever. But it's still not 10 or 12, which is what our expectations were this year, isn't it?
If you are going to be actually counting, then you're looking at 7 is more than 6. But it's after how many years you've had from it's almost 10 years since that. It should have been better. But what you do see is a lot of your athletes coming very close to performing at that absolutely at that point in time. Like it is 2 weeks in which the world looks at no other sport except the Olympics game. They do have others going on, but everyone is looking at the Olympics. And as we've also understood that the Olympics has got nothing to do with world rankings or best performances or anything of the sort. It is that one moment in time where you just have to give your best. And I was happy to see that our athletes are there competing, pushing with it. So in that sense, there has been a certain amount of, you see a certain amount of progress. You see larger numbers pushing on those into that medal range, which is good. But if you are going to be counting, you would want to be counting real medals. I think the number that people were saying was about 12 or 13 was the number that the most optimistic amongst us were going rationally when you were calculating
Sure.
things. But I don't think anyone was predicting no medals from shooting. That's what I think has got the number down from double digits into seven. My original thing when you asked me about in 2019 was five, which was very bad on my part, but but it was five. So I think I've done better when I said larger numbers.
Right.
So
Jan,
I'm feeling pretty
Jan, it is in
spectacular at the moment about that.
Right. Jen, it's in 2012 that you all decided at Amul to get associated with the Indian Olympic Association. So you are with the Olympic sports and athletes, even at the other big tournaments, isn't it? Not just the Olympics. Tell us what it is that drew you in here, besides the fact that it's probably a good value deal. But besides that, what is it that you see that really made you invest?
See, milk is the world's original energy drink, and India is the largest producer of milk in the world. But having said that, nutrition is a very important part of any athlete's diet, and we've seen all the athletes who have won have attributed their success to milk and milk products, even in 2021. I go back to 1996 when actually the NDDB and Amul, we were invited by the Chinese government in a province called Guangxi in South China. And I was a part of the team, and they said we have water buffaloes here and we want to use them to produce milk to feed to our Olympic athletes. Now imagine in 1996 I visited an Olympic camp of China in Nanning, 2,500 kilometers south of China, and they had set up this camp because they were to participate in 2008 Beijing Olympics. Now this is the process and preparation which goes, and I saw it from my own eyes. And once we got this chance to associate with IOA, believe me, we had to go to IOA for asking for a proposal. They didn't have a sponsorship proposal in the first place.
Wow.
So we were among the first sponsor which IOA ever had, and ever since then we've been continuing with them, not only to sponsor the teams to Olympics but also the Commonwealth and the Asian Games, and we'll continue to do so. And also we're using the brand to spread the message around using advertising on the live telecast on Doordarshan or the Sony or the other television channels.
Jen, let me get Joy in here. Joy, I read the piece you wrote in the Economic Times recently, and you make it very clear that you are seeing this complex and elaborate sports ecosystem working well. So working well or efficiently, at least, definitely if you use Neeraj's case as an illustration, which you did. Tell me, is this an inflection point? Because, when we went to 2008, Beijing was the big Abhinav Bindra individual gold moment. 2012 was the best performance ever with 6. And then Rio was a big drop. And in 2012, we said that was the inflection point. So then, is this a real inflection point, or is this stop, start way the way India will continue in its quest for Olympic gold?
See, my belief is that 2008 was the actual inflection point for 2-3 reasons. One is the IPL came in, a lot of professionals came into sport, which is a good thing. And over time, they spread over others, spread over other sports as well. And of course, Abhinav Bindra's gold, because, a lot of trust, a lot of organizations started throwing their weight behind it. Now, what's happened? The reason why I'm saying that this time it worked was because TOP started in 2014, 2015, which is the government scheme for supporting elite athletes. Now, what's happened is you have the top scheme which has happened, and you have these outside organizations, whether it's JSW or whether it's Go Sport Foundation or whether it's, all these guys. And now suddenly, over the past 2-3 years, I think they formed a good partnership. They have a better understanding of what one can do and what the other can do. And they don't need to necessarily compete. They're complementary to an athlete's needs, because there are some things that a government organization, no matter how well funded they are, can't do. Now, I think this has happened. And therefore, I don't call it an inflection point, because I think this relationship is going to get smoother. My sense is that we are better prepared to look after elite athletes now. And that will only improve as the system goes on. There will be minor hiccups, ups and downs, but by and large, we will be improving. My problem is that the next big step is to try and pick up athletes just below that. Below the sub-elite athletes, the kind of people who are coming through, I think the federations, most of the federations, I mean, there are some honorable exceptions, are doing a terrible job of finding those people. So I'm saying that elite athletes, I think we're going to get it. And look, elite athletes will give us increase in numbers, which is not huge. You'll go from what Sharda said, you could have got 12, 15, 12, 20. But if you want to go to larger numbers of medals, because we have the talent out here, then it's that sub-elite athlete, which means that your federations, your state federations, they need to pull their weight. They need to start throwing up the kind of talent. So instead of 300 athletes to choose to get 100 elite athletes, we have 3,000.
Right.
That's when the next big
that kind of explosion, in terms of the talent pool, is what you're saying we need at this point. Sharda, I know you will add on to what Joy has said, because you do question federations. I was hoping Adil Sumariwala was going to join us on the show. He just couldn't make it, at the last minute. But what's your take on which of the federations are getting it right? Let's focus on shooting, because we do see that we have world champions in our, amongst our shooters, and yet at the Olympics they didn't deliver. Is this something about athletes, young athletes at the Olympics for the first time, not being able to, come good at that critical moment? Is it something to do with the federation? What's going on?
Let's specifically talk about the shooting, because they seem to have done all the things right. Like you said, they had former shooters as being part of their coaching system. They had sent them to events, and now they are sort of reassessing as to what happened. That did we need to really fine tune something a little bit more? But shooting is an exception. I mean, it's very unfortunate that Adil could make it on the program, because he would have been able to answer us from his point of view.
Sure.
But as Joy says, I'm completely in agreement that about 90% of the federations don't put athletes at the center of their entire purpose and their reason for being. It's historic. It's been like that. And now there's pressure on the federations, because the government saying, listen, we're giving you money. And Anuradha, what people always forget is that the government always had money. They always had funds. You just needed to be able to give them to the people who used them well, which you had in the case of Rajyavardhan Rathore, as I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
You've got the people to work with. You've got the athletes to work with. What the athletes for the sub-elite level, as Joy has referred to them, what they don't have is a sustained season calendar of competitions.
Yeah.
They don't compete enough with each other. India is such a big country with resources. People should be coming to India to compete at top flight sort of events. They should want to be coming. Like you have in why does everyone go to Kazakhstan for wrestling? Because so that culture of having a sustained season and a calendar of sport happening all year round is what our athletes don't have. And my prime example, which I keep banging my head on about, is athletics and swimming, which are again the two events at the Olympics, which are their prime events, which have the biggest number of medals on offer.
Yeah.
You don't have those things. Everyone is stuck in Patiala doing I don't know what. How is our national records only set in Patiala? I don't know how. It's like it's a Santa Monica track club or something. So that is my problem with the role of the federations in this. They need to be more proactive. Maybe they are. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe they are, but you're not seeing the results. Enough. Yeah, so, you don't know.
Let me get Jain in here. Jain, you said that when you all reached out to the Indian Olympic Association, they didn't even have a sponsor proposal that they had ready. What has your experience been in the past almost a decade of this association, when you look at it from your perspective?
No, so 2011 was when this happened, and after that they got a couple of sponsors for the London Olympics, and then subsequently we continued our association for the Asian Games, CWGs, and so on. And good part is the cooperation level has been very high, both from the the Indian Olympic Association, the way they support us in hosting the events. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a ground send-off event for the athletes, which we do in normal times. And it's been good. So after that, a lot of professionalism came in, and we got a lot of support. So I think now it's a pretty well-oiled machinery there. And we as brands also have understood the importance of this. We prepare in advance for it. We prepare our creatives accordingly. And not only that, we know the addresses and home addresses of each and every single medal-winning athlete. And our team, we have sales team across the country. So we visited the house of Mirabai also, as much as PV Sindhu and all the players. Once they got the medals, we felicited their parents also for this achievement. So it's a full now 360-degree involvement of the brands, and obviously it's a matter of great pride for all of us as Indians. But as Amul and the largest dairy company in India, with the focus on nutrition, I think it's a very, very good association
Sure.
that we have. I
Right.
mean, it's not that we don't sponsor other sports. We do advertise on EPL as much as the IPL, but this is one event which is a matter of pride for the entire organization, which is owned by 36 lakh farmers.
Welcome back. You're watching the Media Dialogues. I'm talking to Joy Bhattacharya, Sharda Ugra and Jayan Mehta about Tokyo 2020 and what it has meant for India as a nation. Joy, you know, we are so focused on Neeraj's win and that historic gold medal that we haven't really gone deep into the Olympians who didn't quite make it, not just the fourth and the fourth and the fifth positions, but beyond that. In fact, you know, in the Indian Express, Vinesh Fogart has written this really anguished piece, and I want to quote something here where she says, "I don't know when I will return to the mat. Maybe I won't. I feel I was better off with that broken leg." She's referring, of course, to a past injury. "I had something to correct. Now my body is not broken, but I am truly broken." She also says, "But everyone outside is treating me like I'm a dead thing. I knew that in India you fall as fast as you rise. One medal lost and everything is finished." Vinesh Fogart, Manu Bakar, you know, I mean, there are all these people who were iconic names, Monica Batra, before they went in and they didn't quite make it, and they've come back and there are now all these controversies, problems, suspensions surrounding them. What do you make of what Vinesh Fogart has just written?
Look, I can completely understand, and a lot of it will be true. This happens, and there's a reason for it. If you look at, say, Haryana traditionally, or even India, you see, we have a huge thing about medals.
Yeah.
Okay, and the person who wins a medal is not just about. It's not under pressure just from the public or for getting a medal himself or herself. It's about the pressure of a situation where everyone, the entire federation, is on your head. So the federation heads will phone you up saying that, you need to do this, you need to win a medal. If you don't win a medal, it's our pride. The place where you're training, there's a lot of pressure. All this happens. Now, also what happens is there are a lot of contrary pressures. You are comfortable with a particular coach, but Sai may not have that particular coach. And you may be comfortable with the physio, as she was talking about her physio.
Yes.
She didn't have a physio. She got a shooting team physio. So look, all this happens, and I can completely understand everything that could go wrong went wrong for her. And you see, once you're in that situation where you have high expectations and you're not fully prepared, it's a spiral. And we really need to look after these people. We really need to look after these girls, whether it's a Vinesh Fogart. The same thing that I want to say about somebody like a Manu Bhakar. Once she and Jaspal Rana were in a collision course. And here's what I want to say. I think the Shooting Federation actually, in terms of money, in terms of facilities, in terms of everything, did whatever they could. I just think that whichever way they played it, they did not resolve the matter between Jaspal Rana and Manu Bhakar properly. It was left dangling out there. It was left in a situation where neither was happy about what they were doing. And then Jaspal didn't go. And it was an absolute mess. And I don't blame them. I think they had the best intentions in mind. They wanted to avoid conflict. But what ended up happening was that neither was happy. I think that both these girls are young girls. They need counseling. They have fantastic talent. They have abilities. They will get us many medals in the future. But if we can just get the pressure of the federations off them. Remember one thing. Remember, Avinav came 7th in his first Olympic final.
Yeah. Sharda, mental health became front and center thanks to Simone Biles' decisions at the Olympics. We know that our relationship as an audience and as a country is sort of transactional with these elite athletes. You win a medal and we love you and we will welcome you and we will, give you a lot of rewards. And then we forget you for those 4 years in between, right? From Olympic to Olympic. Is there something that you feel has changed this time around? Because this is a new generation. We saw Neeraj's composure, Neeraj's attitude. We saw a whole bunch, you mentioned Ravi Daya, a whole bunch of these wrestlers. They're a different generation. Are they going to be able to handle it differently?
I think what they are still very beholden to, or they have to be beholden to, are all their my-baps behind them. As Joy was saying, that every Indian athlete, whenever they win anything, they either thank the government, the ministry, SAI, the federation, their official. It goes on and on and on. It's not a moment of they're happy, they're delighted, but they have to make sure to do this. So that is not going to change, because you have because the federations are the ones that control you. It's quite interesting that you talked about mental health, because now you can, as one of the interesting parts that in Vinesh's account today was that she said, do we have a chance to walk away from an event like
Yes.
Simone Biles had
Yes.
done?
Yes.
There is no question it'll
Yeah.
not be allowed. It will be like Desh ka naam badnaam
Yes.
kiya, and then all your forefathers and their forefathers, and it will be all this kind of stuff. Atanu Das, the archer, said sometimes we take the Olympics and Olympic medals too seriously. And he got away with it, because now I'm sure someone will be rapping him on the knuckles and say, how can you talk like this? Medals are important. It is Desh ki shaan, and forget about, what is that? A per capita income of our population, etc., etc. So there is this power play that is always on. And for an athlete to win a medal, it means you break free somewhat of that. You get a certain agency is what you get when you get a medal. Not a lot, but a good amount. And to not have that, I think that kind of sort of pull, tugs and pressures, it'll still be there. I don't think we've reached a form of sort of maturity as a sporting ecosystem to be able to deal with this in a balanced kind of way.
But we'll need to.
Political people involved in it.
Yeah.
We've got political people involved in all these federations.
Yeah.
So how do you think that's going to play out?
I'm going to have to close the show, Jen. One final question. I believe in the USA and in Europe, television viewership for the Olympics hit an all-time low. I mean, it's supposed to be a record, but of the wrong kind. In India, we don't have the full numbers out, but I don't think the numbers were better than Rio's viewership for Rio, at least for the first week. What is your sense on that front, and does that bother you as an investor, as a marketer who is putting money behind these games?
Let me tell you the feeling on the ground. The numbers will shock everyone. I think there's been a record buzz, record viewership, and more importantly, the youth and the young people watching and following every single game. I mean, we have our feet on the street, here on the ground, and the buzz that we have seen not only in social media but also the mass media viewership. Doordarshan did it as much as the
Sony Sports.
Cable and satellite television was there, and OTTs were there. So it's been a fantastic 360-degree coverage by the media and the television channels broadcasting it live, and the numbers will surprise all of us, I think. And we will see even better viewership of such games in the coming years.
Well,
so I think as sponsors on television, as much as the team, it's Jabardast value for money deal that we have cracked. But more importantly, the country did well, and that makes us more proud than happy.
It's Jabardast value for money, Jabardast value for our time, and it just gives us new heroes and, new people to look up to, an inspiration, isn't it? Thank you, Joy, Sharda, Jayan, very much for joining me on this show. I wish you a lot of good luck. Stay safe, and the next Olympics, or even actually before, because I have this wonderful quote by Muhammad Ali, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights. So I think the next 3 years is when we need to talk more and keep talking about and boosting these athletes, isn't it? Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. Ye to shuruaat hai.
Thank you.
Thank you.